wasn't sure if the beginning of that was like jazz or if you were having some sort of a spastic fit or what that was. It was odd timing there, buddy. Kind of
You're
made my
welcome.
brain itch a little
Welcome. You got to figure out where the beat is before the drums come in.
bit. I'm usually good with that, but that made me hard. That made me hard. Yeah.
Yeah, that made you so
Fuck.
fucking hard.
Talk about a flowers for Algernon morning. So how are you two morons this morning?
I'm good.
I'm alive. I'm wondering why you have a flowers for Algernon reference in the last, 24 hours? I mean, I know you got medication, but, are you coming off of it and there's that much of a dramatic difference for you?
Oh, this shit's beating my ass this time. I don't know what's going on. So, for those of you that are unaware, I got myself back on Ritalin. I was on Ritalin many years ago, and thought it'd be a good idea to get back on it. Now I'm questioning myself. So, yeah, I was good. Adam and I went to dinner, and I was good. I felt good, calm, and my head was straightened out. And then I got home, was by myself for about 15 minutes, and had an impressive panic attack. And then this morning I ate, and I went to take my pill, and I couldn't do it. I had another panic attack. I was like, I can't take this fucking pill. So, yeah, I guess my brain's coming down off the dopamine, and I'm a little thick-headed this morning. So if I'm not my normal jovial, talky self, it's because I'm swimming through fucking mental concrete right now.
Jovial, talky self.
Jovial, talky self. They call me JT. So.
Yeah,
They do.
Yeah, I don't know so much about the jovial thing. Now,
everybody says I'm jovial.
If it was your face stabby talky self, I might be more
They call him Jovial Dan.
Jovial
Go
Dan.
along with that.
Jovial Dan, the face stabby guy. Or something.
Or something, yeah.
Or something. So I did notice, I think I noticed some correlation between the pain I've been having, the nerve pain, and the Ritalin seemed to calm it way the fuck down. So, which I found out that Ritalin can be used as a nerve pain medication. Thought that was kind of interesting. So that was kind of cool. And we'll see. I'm going to see how today goes and maybe get a hold of my psychiatrist on Monday and see what she thinks. But yeah, it's kind of weird. And the idea that I used to take 2 or 3 10-milligram pills of this shit 10 years ago blows my mind, honestly.
Well, there's a thing called tolerance.
Yeah, but I mean, I started off at 10 milligrams. I was just like, pop, woo. And a couple hours later, pop, woo. And not only that, but I was sucking it down with one of those giant monsters with the canteen tops, on top of them.
We were talking about that yesterday.
I don't know how the fuck I did it. I really don't.
Well, used to, you could eat Snickers without looking like somebody beat your face with a pineapple.
Yeah, metabolisms change. Actually, I was on the Ritalin right about the time that shit started too, because I remember thinking that it was the Ritalin that was causing the eczema and stuff. Some weird side effect, but then discovered that is sugar, carbohydrates, and some other stuff, but mostly just sugar and carbs, which Adam has been kind of on the same trip as I've been with trying to cut that stuff out of his diet. And we went to dinner last night and we're eating the salads. And he goes, "Why is this salad so sweet?" And I said, "Because everything has sugar in it, man." It was Caesar. He had a Caesar salad and that Caesar dressing. I was
like, "Why is the cheese sweet?"
Yeah, why is the cheese sweet? Weird. Which I did explain that, lactose is a sugar. And he was like, "What the fuck? This is trash." And then we got Brussels sprouts, right? We both got the like broiled or baked Brussels sprouts or whatever they were, right? And take a bite. And I was like, oh my God, what? And they had steeped them in some kind of like barbecue
Syrup.
sauce or syrup. Yeah. Oh God, dude, the sauce that they were in was disgusting because it was so sweet. And the thing is, if you go a week, hell, if you go a few days, but if you go a week um, without eating any, I'll even say any processed sugar. Like I'm not even going to attack like carrots and things like that. But if you just go cut out the sodas, cut out the cookies, cut out, I'll say carbs too, like tortilla shells and breads and things like that. Cut all that out of your diet for a week, and then go eat a fucking carrot, or
I think
anything.
you're anti-carrot right now. That's what I think.
Carrots are weird, and you guys have heard this story ad nauseum. But I had done the South Beach diet with my ex-wife, and it's super no sugar the first 2 weeks. Like it's no potatoes, no nothing that has fucking sucrose or
No nothing. That's
no
a pretty inclusive diet then.
yeah, no nothing. You get nothing. Air.
You have to exclude nothing from the diet.
Yeah, right.
No nothing.
Was it I'm on
Don't eat any fucking carrots though.
a seafood diet. I see food and I eat it. But I had done that for a couple weeks, and then I went months and months without eating any carbs or sugars or anything. I dumped a bunch of weight, was feeling pretty good. And me and Doug and a couple other guys we worked with went and got Chinese food at this place. And I was like, oh, it'll be okay if I have some Chinese because I've been eating really, really well, so it'll be cool. And had some carrots and snow peas and stuff in it, right? And I bit into one of the carrots and I was like, yeah, what, what the fuck? And everybody's looking at me like, what, dude? How's these fucking carrots, man? So anyway, I handed one to Doug. I said, dude, try this carrot. Eat this carrot. He's like, all right. Pops in his mouth. He's like, tastes like a carrot, Dan. I was like, no, dude, it's so sweet, So a woman comes by. She's waitress is handing out the food, and she was also working in the kitchen. So I asked her. I said, excuse me, ma'am. I said, what do you guys like soak your carrots in? And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, like what marinade or what do you cook them in? Like they're very sweet. And she's like, nothing. I'm like, no, totally. They cooked them in something. But it was simply because of the natural sugars. And of course, when you cook certain foods, it brings the sugars out.
Yeah.
But it was these carrots had been cooked and brought the sugar out, and it was just too fucking much for me. Sometime in that week too, I remember I had a glass of Coke. I took about 2 drinks and I wanted to vomit. It was just so sickly sweet, man. It was insane.
Yeah.
But they stick sugar in everything nowadays, man. It's fucking everywhere, and it's in places that's just like, why? Our bodies are not set up for that. I mean, 100 years, 200 years, we'll evolve and become hummingbirds, but we're not designed to process that much sugar consistently throughout your whole life. I mean, look at the sauces in your fridge, the breads. Not only do they have carbs from just because of what they are, but they extra added sugar to them. And I don't know, man. It's been kind of weird, I guess, because I've had to count it or keep an eye on it. Because if I don't, as Doug said, it looks like somebody beat me in the face with a pineapple. And so I'm a little more cautious. But when you're cautious like that, you pay more attention, and wow, there's sugar in that. There's sugar in that. And you pick up the salt shaker, and on the back it says, salt, sugar, polysorbate, fucking 80. And you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's fucking weird. It was like kind of hard to fucking eat. I was like, all right, well, this is sweet. And it's not just like a health thing. It's like, it's too sweet to eat.
Yeah. Kind of a sickly, gross, sweet. Yeah.
Well, it's just like, you can like salty stuff, but there's, a point where that goes overboard as well.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing with sugar.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I remember as a kid. Um, I don't remember much about my childhood because trauma and shit. But uh, I remember I used to go. We had one of those Tupperware, the old '70s Tupperware colors. It was that green color, and it was the sugar container, and then inside it was this white scoop, looked like an ice scoop, but it was just a little small white scoop. And I would, oh man, I'd say it was probably a half cup, maybe. And I would mound that thing up and just pour sugar in my mouth and then hold it in my mouth and let it dissolve, like cotton candy would. And I realize now that that was probably the start of my, addictive personality slash looking for things that make me feel good kind of thing. Um, it sugar is a drug. They've done study after study, and it shows the same spots in the brain that like cocaine and different things. It creates the same kind of metabolic response in your body that drugs do, or like what they consider them what they consider drugs. Um,
The almighty them.
the almighty them. Uh, and it's not that I'm trying to demonize sugar or carrots, but it's gotten a little out of hand, I think, and I think it causes a lot of health problems, and not just the ones that we know of, like diabetes and obesity and things like that. I think there's, I think if you give kids sugar, right? If you gave kids small amounts of cocaine or Ritalin, and you did that all through their formative years, there's no way that that's not going to have some effect on the brain and how it processes information at some point. We do see more cases of anxiety, ADHD, depression. I think there's a lot
No,
of
no, 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 no. Unrelated.
unrelated, and you just need to focus and be happy and calm down.
Yeah, just calm down, focus, and just cheer up, dude.
Cheer
Just
up.
smile.
Just cheer up. Yeah. Yeah. Again, it goes back, and I know we've talked about this before, that mental health is still a funny, taboo subject to people, man. I mean, me talking about my panic attacks freaks some people out, which there's some irony to that, right?
Stop it, Dan. You're giving me a panic
You're
attack.
giving me a panic attack. I don't know, when you talk about panic attacks, it makes my heart rate and my makes me feel like I need to run away. I've been dealing with panic attacks. They started when I was about 18 or 19, and they got really bad to the point of agoraphobia. If you don't know what agoraphobia is, it's basically a fear of leaving your house. I had to move back in with my parents, who were abusive, and that probably didn't help. I couldn't even ride in a car with someone. We'd get down the road, and I'd say, "Stop, pull over," and I'd have to get out of the car. I couldn't do it, and I'd say, "Take me home, take me home. I can't do this." Um, they put me on Paxil, which is, I'm pretty sure, cultured from the underneath side of the devil's nutsack. Um, that shit's fucking awful. But yeah, and I had them for a while, and through the years, I maintained my social anxiety. When I get around too many people, it would start again. And back in the day, I kind of realized that part of that was I'm overwhelmed by people, because when I go out into a crowd, and I believe this is part of my ADHD, and I say my ADHD like that because like Doug has ADHD, and it's phenomenal. And if you meet him for more than 5 minutes, you can tell this dude has ADHD. Um, Mine is more subtle, but well, my symptoms are different. We'll put it that way.
Yeah,
Right.
yours aren't as bad because they're yours and not mine. I know how
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
psychological trick goes.
Yeah. It's, I shouldn't say not as bad, because I mask better, I think. And I'm sure that comes from, again, living in the home that I did. Um, my parents wouldn't have tolerated it. They didn't tolerate much anything. But yeah, we have different symptoms. So, and I apologize. I didn't mean to like shit on Doug. I mean, I do shit on Doug a lot, and I enjoy shitting on Doug, but that's not what I meant to do in this particular case.
Yeah, he likes to say, "Here comes the rolling brownout."
But I usually say it with a little more fervor. So there's jovial fervor, if you will. But yeah, my symptoms are different. Like Doug can go and Doug doesn't like people or crowds any more than I do, but he can tolerate them better than I can. Um, my problem is that when I get into a crowd, or if I go to a restaurant and I'm sitting there, I'm listening to everything. I will hear 5, 6, 7 conversations at once, and I'm keeping up with them. It's not like a murmur, like a lot of people hear, just a distant din in the background. I am actually listening to the conversations, typically to the detriment of the conversation I'm trying to have with the person I'm with. So if Doug and I are at a concert, if we're sitting there talking, I'll talk to Doug, but I won't really hear what he's saying very well, but I'll know what 5 other conversations are doing. And I do that in restaurants a lot too. I'll be sitting there and they'll, I've had it. Last time I remember it happening was me, Doug, and Adam went and had Chinese food, and Doug and Adam are talking, and I'm kind of listening to that, but I'm listening to the table next to us, and I'm listening to the 2 tables down on the thing, and kind of to Adam's point, right? People are like, well, just pay attention to what you're doing.
Just pay
Don't listen
attention,
to
dude.
them. Guys, my brain is going to do what it's going to fucking do, right? And the problem is it becomes overwhelming. It's just so much information. My brain, you would think that if it bothered my brain, it would stop doing it. Like that's the part that kind of cracks me up, is that my brain goes, dude, I can't listen to all these conversations. Well, then don't.
Well, anyway,
Just
let's listen.
yeah, man, this really sucks. But anyway, did you hear what that other table just said? I'm like, fuck. And they call that hypervigilant or hypervigilance. It's part of PTSD. I've had therapists and psychiatrists explain why I do it. Um, and I get it. Uh, again, playing the violins and growing up in my household, I had to be hypervigilant. I had to watch for moods. I had to watch for conversations. I was telling my therapist the other day that I can still remember the way my mom would hold her coffee cup told me whether or not she was about to have a fucking meltdown. And she'd disassociate. She'd stare off into fucking space. And then you knew it was coming, boy. I don't know what it was she was thinking about, but it made her fucking mad. Um, so I get why I do it, but it's fucking exhausting. So, but I've always maintained that, but the panic attacks by myself, just being by myself, had stopped for 20 years, 18 years, something like that. And it seems like in the last couple, they're coming back, and I don't know why. Doug's almost gotten a call at 2 a.m. a couple of times. So, and I can just hear it now. What's up, little buddy? Because if I'm calling you at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday fucking night, you know something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've learned to deal with them. Everything from going for walks, hitting the treadmill. Sometimes I just go look in a mirror and tell myself, dude, you're fine. You're okay. I have gotten into cold showers, which is incredibly unpleasant, but for some reason it works. Those are the bad ones. Like I don't do that unless I am fucking spinning out of control. And people who meet me, I think would be shocked to know that I deal with this. Because yeah, I am face stabby, but I joke a lot. I like to make people happy, unless I don't like them, and then I like to make them miserable. Um, but yeah, I've been dealing with this shit for a long time, and I don't really know what to do about it anymore. I mean, you can't. They come on so quick that like Xanax or Ativan really wouldn't do much. I mean, uh, I don't think I could get it in my mouth and swallow it quick enough. That's what she said. And I don't know about the idea of like being on a maintenance dose of fucking Xanax, Call me Jean-Claude Lethargic.
Yeah, that would not be fun.
I mean, it'd be fun for me, but I don't know how anyone else would. You're like, hey, Dan, be like,
You know, I've seen you on Xanax before, but what would be really interesting is to watch you have a complete and total abandonment of fucks. I think that would be an interesting day.
Maybe that might be half of my fear. Like, oh no, I can't take these and go to work. That's a terrible fucking idea. Hey guys, this is Dan. Basically, fuck all of y'all. This is stupid, and I don't want to be here. So I may talk to her about something because I've done all the SNRIs and SSRIs. But I was telling Doug and Adam that and it may be total correlation. I don't know, but I've been having a lot of pain in my surgery area. That's what I'm going to start calling my dick and balls. I'm going to start calling it my surgery area. And I took the Ritalin and it just like disappeared. And I found out that Ritalin can be used as a nerve pain medication. Thought that was kind of cool. And I may dick around with trying to take it again, maybe tomorrow or Monday or something. Maybe taking it at 7:00 last night wasn't the most brilliant fucking idea I've ever had either. So I took half a pill. Like I said, Adam and I were fucking hanging out. And I was like, man, I feel good. Fuck, I forgot what Ritalin did to me. And then, but yeah, dude, fucking 30 milligrams a day, usually 20. I don't think I ever took, it was very rare I took the third one, and then guzzling caffeine on top of it. But then, Doug remembers big projects that we did when we worked together. And there was one in particular, and I remember taking Ritalin. Oh, I was on Ritalin for that one. It was a big device collapse. We were collapsing 4 devices down into 3. And it was a shit show, I think is the technical term for it. And it was me, Adam, our buddy Juan, and a guy by the name of Todd, who passed away a couple years ago. And it was something. But yeah, that I wonder if maybe it was because I was more active back then, and now I'm in an office. I don't know. I kind of just hate my brain. I think my brain's dumb.
You need a
Dumb
new one.
brain.
Get a new one.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's kind
Download a new
of,
one.
if you're human like me, there's probably sometimes you wish your brain could do or not do a thing that is inconvenient or gets in the way of God knows how much stuff, because there are often times where it's like, I'll have something that I'm using. I'll start thinking about something else. I'll set that thing down. And then I need that thing again. And like, where the fuck did I put the fucking thing? Why?
Yeah.
And it just spirals from there. And then it's like this. Most of the time, it's usually like this anywhere between 2 and 20-second period of rage while I look for it, where I'm mad at myself for being insufficient for the task at hand.
Yeah, I like that. Insufficient for the task at hand, even if it's something as small as, why do I not know where my keys, remote, wallet, that fucking thing I was holding, the charging cable, I think the difference between Doug and I, as far as our ADD symptoms go, or let me ask you this, Doug, if you think this would be an accurate statement. You've never really dealt with like chronic anxiety, have you?
No.
Yeah. I mean, you get upset over things, you get anxious over things, because we all do. That's normal, but not chronic and panic attacks and things like that.
No, I've had anxiety, but not to the point where it was chronic.
Yeah.
It was usually situationally related.
Shut up, Adam.
Chronic.
Situational, exactly. And that's the difference. I guess that's the point I was trying to make for people that don't understand, because There are people that I know listen to me talk and get mad at me and go, Jesus Christ, this fucking guy playing his fucking violins again, this poor fucking family, and he's fucking anxious, he's fucking depressed. We're all fucking anxious and depressed. Well,
Get
here's the
over
thing.
it.
Get over it. Here's the thing. There is a difference between, like what Doug said, right? Situational anxiety, situational depression.
And
I talk,
generalized anxiety.
and then there's generalized, where it's just all day, every day for no goddamn reason. Why are you anxious? I don't know, Sparky. Why are
it's
you
actually
depressed?
it's actually kind of weird that Doug isn't like super anxious, because I've heard a lot that seems to go hand in hand with ADHD, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. I think anxiety is like,
Well,
talking about narcissist, and you'll read that psychiatrists, psychologists, they don't know if it's born or created, right? I think anxiety, I think all mental illness, if you want to call it that, ADHD, all of it, they don't know if you're born with it or if it's taught. I Doug is a perfect example, right? Doug's adopted. So genetically, he wasn't raised with people who were ADHD or anxious or whatever, because they say like that's part of it. If you're raised in an anxious household, you're gonna have some anxiety, and that makes sense to me. Um, but like you said, look at Doug. He's got classic ADHD, but was adopted. So, and I've met his mom. She's as laid back as they come. So I don't know that that's where he got it.
I see what you're
sure,
saying.
we'll go with that.
She's not laid back. Well, I mean, from my perspective, right? From my
Yeah.
perspective.
Well, I
So,
mean, granted, I know, I haven't met your parents, but I've heard the story, so I
yeah.
know what the comparison is.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, that's true too.
So it's kind of relative
Yeah,
in that format.
baseline speaking. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that because my mom's got certain behaviors. I mean, because it's funny. I mean, because I can have my place what I would define as clean,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll come over to the house for a visit,
Yeah.
and her idea of clean and my idea of clean is two completely different things.
Yeah.
She's one of those everything has a place
Mm-hmm.
people, and that place is usually in a fucking cabinet or a
Mm-hmm.
closet somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting when she'll come over to visit. I have to say things often like, "All right, Mom, where the hell did you put my cutting boards?" Or because I have a cut. It's like when I use cutting boards and use it, clean it off, whatever else. It sits on the counter where it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be used.
Yeah, that's where I leave mine
Yeah.
too.
And mom does not like that. She starts putting things in cabinets, and then there's like a little cabinet next to the stove. And I have finally learned that when she comes over, all my cutting boards wind up in there. The really funny thing was one time when I had bought not one time, but one of the several times I'd bought a shitload of paper towels, and I went to go look for them because I rarely ever use those cabinets next to the stove. She loaded every fucking paper towel unused that I had in the house and put them in those. And it was like a week after she left that I finally needed like a new roll of paper towels.
towels.
And I'm turning the fucking house upside down looking for paper towels because I never use those particular set of cabinets. So I had to call my mother to find out where my fucking paper towels were.
That's phenomenal, and that is a sign of anxious behavior, compulsive cleaning, and everything. And some people would argue and say, "Oh, bullshit, Dan! It just means that I clean and um, and I like things tidy and everything." And it's like, well, no, I get that, but there is a when it agitates you, when when the paper towels are not where the paper towels are supposed to be,
That's
right?
it's a little nerd rage.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
In that the and what I define that is, if you've ever known someone who was simultaneously kind of gifted and also fell on the spectrum
Mm-hmm.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they all have things that they're weirdly passionate about. No, like if you say, if there's a technical description for something
Mm-hmm.
and you get a word wrong or you get something out of context, and then they're like, no, it's
Mm-hmm.
like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the same thing. It's just a different form of it.
And people don't realize that, and it comes across as being weird or nerding out, but that it's an obsessive behavior, not necessarily OCD, but it's an obsessive behavior, and ADHD does cause that. Anxiety causes that. Um, eh, that's funny because it's very much true. A little nerd rage, um, when something is supposed to be this way. You get people that are a little more, neurotypical, seems to be the fun word that people use now, in that if something's not right exactly where it's supposed to be, like we've all known that guy is like, it's good enough. And if you're ADHD and you have anxiety like me, you're over there clenching your jaw so fucking hard that the muscles are going to pop because you're like, you need to, oh, that's not how you fucking do that. But then over the years, I've learned to ask myself, why does that bother you so much, Dan? What is it about? I'm a perfectionist and nothing I do is ever good enough. Nothing I do is ever right. It can always be better. Well, that comes from a trauma background of someone telling you that, making you think that. Um, it is much listen, and people say, no, you got to do your job. It's about doing your job and doing it well and doing things, completely and everything. Yeah, you're right. That is true. You should do those things. But there comes a point when that'll work, that's good enough, really is applicable and sufficient. Like where you stick your paper towels, and it's like, oh yeah, just stick them over there somewhere. They're paper towels, man. It doesn't matter. So, and I'm not saying, like, for instance, that your mom has to put those paper towels in that cabinet, right? But I'm alluding to people who are like that, where things have to be a certain
Right.
way. And so that's interesting, and I, it goes back to, things like anxiety and ADHD, um, being taught or learned behavior, I'd be curious to see families where, and I'm sure they're out there, where, mom and dad are both ADHD and the kid comes out completely opposite. But then again, maybe that's just a rebound effect. I mean, I don't know. It's fucking fascinating. And the, the fun part, and both my therapist and my psychiatrist have noticed it when I have my discussions with them, is just how, I don't want to say educated because it makes me sound arrogant, but they were both very impressed with my knowledge on mental health and, how it works. And I think what's funny, I think it's kind of gotten meta, is that I use my mental health issues to study mental health issues. So, meaning that I fixate on mental health issues. Um, and that can be good and bad, right? Maybe I see things that aren't there. Maybe I create things that aren't there. Um, but at the same time, I've figured a lot of things out for myself, and I've helped some other people. You know, and that's why I've always said, for me, it's one of the reasons I do the podcast. It's why I do my little videos. It's why I post things sometimes. Is that, I like helping people. I would love to know that there's somebody out there who, heard something that I said, and it made them think enough to go, maybe I should go see a therapist, or maybe I should go get on meds, or maybe,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know.
I've
Maybe
got
not.
I've got similar stuff because I spent so many years depressed. If you spend enough time between your own ears and then you pay any attention to the world around you at all, you
Yeah.
start to see how shit starts to correlate.
Yeah.
And people that, seriously have dealt with depression, it's, that's kind of a common trait. Also, a little bit more empathy and understanding as far as trying to see things from other people's point of view, but at the same time, that is a tool that you can use to beat yourself up with.
Absolutely. It's a double-edged sword, right? You can you can use it to kind of help people and help yourself, but at the same time, I think the beating yourself up is that's the part you got to tread real lightly on, you know. And it's funny because the people that have gotten the angriest with me and have lashed out at me about mental health, in my opinion, are usually the ones that I have felt quietly have always needed some fucking assistance. I dated a couple women over the last 2 years. One of them actually has a son who's autistic. She was the narcissist. And her son was like that with plants. What Doug was saying about being on the spectrum and being kind of like they have their thing. His thing was plants, and the kid was actually fucking impressive. Um, he knew the scientific names for like every plant that you could come up with and what sort of soil they needed and stuff like that, And um, she thought it was kind of weird and etc. And I'm over here thinking I'd have him in every like horticulture after school fucking thing I could get him in because the kid's going to be a goddamn genius when it comes to that stuff in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, um, I've always said that about like, we focus and prioritize certain things. And like, if a kid's bad at math or English or something, right? But then he comes home, he's 12, 13 years old. But then he comes home and he's got a couple of dirt bikes in the garage and he tears them down to the rings and, the every teeny tiny bit part and piece, can scrub them, set them, put them all back together without much more than some YouTube videos, right? Or someone showing him how to do it once or twice. Don't worry that the kid can't spell well. Don't worry that the kid doesn't read well, right? That's a challenge he's probably always going to have. As I think at a certain point, all the therapy in the world and all the training in the world, it ain't going to fix certain things. Give him some coping mechanisms. Get that kid into some fucking, uh, you know, after school automotive clubs or something. You know what I mean? Like, if your kid is just naturally good at something that maybe you don't think is valuable, and he's not good in things that you do think are valuable, maybe you need to realign what value is. Because I know guys that were that 13-year-old kid, right? And now they own a mechanic shop or they went to Honda school and they're making real good money. They have great lives and they're very happy. Um, music's another one, right? If your kid's good at music and he's failing out in school, fuck it. Get him into more music classes, get him into classical music, get him to read music. There's a lot of jobs out there for musicians that aren't being rock stars. You don't have to be a top 10 Billboard artist to make money. There are people that I hung out with tons of them back in the day, and some of them are still doing it. And they're paying their bills by being in cover bands. I knew a dude that moved to Florida and he was a singer in a cover band and was making, six figures 20 years ago and playing big corporate parties, and they were really good. And I know that's unusual, but I just, I think we focus on the wrong things. And I that comes from personal experience, right? I wonder what would have happened if I would have had parents that were a little more supportive of things that I was good at back in the day, instead of saying, hey, you fucking moron. Um, I remember I had a memory the other day of my dad getting mad at me and they like took my stereo and shit away from me. He's like, you can remember every lyric to every fucking song you ever heard, but you can't fucking do your multiplication table. So I'm taking your stereo and you're going to sit here and write your multiplication tables till your fingers bleed. Yeah, that worked, Dad, because to this day, I still don't know my fucking multiplication
I don't know
tables.
mine. Never needed them ever.
You know, I mean, I know some of them, but you get into the sevens and the nines, fuck me. Um, and I've always thought back about that. And I think if your kid's just naturally good at something, foster it because you're swimming upstream, right? If you got a kid that's really good at, like I said, like dirt bikes or something, but his English comprehension isn't great, he can't write soliloquies and whatnot. The fuck off with it, man. He's never going to. Nothing you do is going to change the way that kid's brain works at that point, right? I mean, it's okay to say, well, hey, man, you know, you do need to try to read a book. Let's work on this. Maybe it's dyslexia or something like that. But foster what the kid's good at. You know, I don't care what it is. If it's video games, get him into programming and shit like that. Well, right. Every kid wants to be a video game programmer, right?
That or a tester.
Yeah, video game tester. Um, excuse me. And yes, Doug, if they're really good at space boobs, then they should concentrate on space boobs. So, um,
Who doesn't like space boobs?
everybody likes space boobs, dude. Come on, cosmic titties. Um, so yeah, that's guess that's my rant for the day. Is just I I hate when I see people lean on their kids about, you know, well, you need to go to college and you need to get a degree and you need to do this, you need to do that. And again, you know, the kid likes building shit and he's good at it. You know, I mean, if your kid's like, I love music, I'm gonna be a rock star, and he's completely fucking tone deaf, you know, I get that too. And you're like, hey, that's good, kid, you know, but still support them. Support your kids, man. They're kids. They're not supposed to be smart. People are like, my 13-year-old's so fucking dumb and he does dumb stuff. Yeah, no shit. He's 13. That's why we have parents. Because if not, he'd be feral and fucking, you know, doing
Well, for the
stupid shit.
record, I was really bad at music for a very long time.
You still are,
I
but
still am, but
you
I
were
was.
then too.
Yeah.
I just shared your music with a friend of mine. She's more into like synthwave and EDM and stuff like that. And I actually do like EDM. I like electronica. I like that kind of stuff. But I'd shared Oceanside, by the ocean, Oceanside, something like that. I don't know. And she's like, man, that's really good. And then that's why I was asking you about your synthwave stuff last night. Is she and
Oh,
I got to talking about synthwave,
yeah, yeah.
uh, and she listened to it. She goes, "Oh, dude, this is right up my alley." And I told her, I said, I've always I fuck with you because I fuck with people that I care about. It's what I do. But I'd like to think you know that I've always encouraged you to keep making music because I think it's good. I think what you do is good, and I am I'm particular. Like I hear a lot of shit that people do, and I'm like, you know, or they don't understand production value, or they just don't understand producing in general. You know, you hear it in the mix, it's just trash. You're like, ow, that guitar is piercing my face, and I can't hear the drums. You know, and I do have roughly 20 years experience as a musician, so I've always felt like I have a good ear, because I can say I hear something and I say, yeah, this what BTS, the Korean pop band, right? I saw them the other day for the first time. I knew who they were. I was aware of them, but I saw them do this live performance and I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. I get why, you know, 14-year-old girls love these kids. Um, you know, decent dancers, good-looking kids, and the music, it was formulaic pop, right? But it had a neat little it made my booty move a little. So and
It's cotton candy. We've had
it
the cotton candy discussion.
right,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I think the Mexican guys I used to work with, they called that stuff fresa, which is I think strawberry. Um, but same concept, right? It's easily digestible.
I call it
Um,
popcorn.
popcorn. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's a snack. It's easy to eat.
Like
You
sometimes you
know,
just want fucking popcorn.
Right. You don't want, yeah, we were talking about that, about movies and music and just media. Look, sometimes I want a 13-minute epic Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner by Iron Maiden, right? And I want to hear all these complex, arrangements and lyrics and all that. And same as with people who listen to symphonies and Bach and Mozart and things like that and Vivaldi. Um, yeah, and then sometimes I want kick snare, kick snare, kick snare, kick snare, kick snare. You know, um, for me, for me, it's lyrics. Like that's where you lose me. And there's a lot of metal out there that loses me because of the lyrics. And they're like, the fucking music comes in, you're like, yeah, and then the vocalist comes in with a growl, and you're like, yeah, this dude's got a great voice, and he's like, I'm mad. My parents didn't love me. And it's like, oh, no, no, no.
I'm gonna
But
drink some Monster and punch a hole in my drywall.
right, yeah, exactly. It's like, my name's Kyle. Oh, and I get it though, right? If you're 12 or 13, and that's what adults have to remember. These bands are not marketing to 46-year-old men. They're marketing to 12-year-old kids whose hormones and brain levels are fucking wacky and they don't know what they're doing. And, yeah, Kyle screaming about drinking Monster and punching a hole in his drywall is just, I feel like that. What's Doug say? You like things, I like stuff. You like pizza, I like pizza. I like to fuck, you like to fuck. Let's be friends.
Yeah.
And I think music and media is that way too, right? I think that there's if you can feel it, but that's what loses me usually is a lack of complexity in uh, lyrics. But then if you crank Bad Romance by fucking Lady Gaga, I will move my booty. So it's like, God damn it. Um,
I mean,
yeah,
there's
I
shit
don't.
that's just like objectively good though. Like you can't. It is like cliche as it is. It's cliche because it's been done over and over, and that's because it's good.
Yeah, there's a formula for it. Um, like the chord progressions, like 1-3-5, right? You can take a chord, play the third, and play the fifth, and it's going to sound good, right? It's pleasing to the ear. Now, what you do around that and can make or break it, but absolutely. And there are a lot of ghostwriters that no one has ever heard of. Like you probably know some of them. Doug might know some of them. I know some of them. And what you don't realize is that some of them have got like 50 number one songs under their belt,
Yeah.
meaning they have written the song, they wrote the lyrics, and then they sell it to an artist. That's why when you hear songs that keep getting remade and people are like, oh, that's a cover of so and so's song. And it's like, well, yes and no. That song is out there and anyone can buy it and record it.
Non-exclusive. Yeah. If you bought
Right.
non-exclusive license, then good luck.
Right. So anyone can do it. A fairly popular one that I know you two are familiar with is Black Betty. Whoa, Black Betty, bam, bam, whoa, Black Betty. That was not originally done by, um, oh
Ram
no,
Jam.
Ram Jam. Thank you. The origins of that song go back so far they're not even sure where it came from. It's like an
Holy
old,
shit.
it's an
Like an old
old
folk song?
blues.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old blues, like Crossroads era
Yeah.
blues song. And they
They
don't
just
know where it
brought it
came
up to
from.
speed and put a Les
Hmm.
Paul being
Hmm.
funky on that thing, and it sounds badass.
Right, exactly. Um, I learned that there's a band called Soil that I listen to. A lot of people remember their song Halo from in the 90s, and they did a cover of it. And I was like, oh, yeah, wow, they did a cover of that song by that band. And I get to digging, and it's like, yeah, no, they were not the first. Tom Jones, I think, did a cover of it or a version of it, which freaks me out a little bit.
Well,
Um,
maybe that's not unusual.
maybe it's not unusual to be loved by someone. Um, can't move. Um, so yeah, remember Four Non Blondes?
Yeah.
And I say, hey, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. With the giant hats.
Yeah. Um, the singer who is actually married to Darlene from Roseanne, whose name Sarah Gilbert, I think her name is. She is a ghostwriter and had been a ghostwriter for years, and she's got a couple. And I'm just spouting off. I'm probably wrong about this, but I think like Christina Aguilera and a few other big artists. And then she did Four Non Blondes for a little while, you know. But again, people, you know, oh, I hate that band. I hate Four Non Blondes. Our bitch can't sing and she's fucking terrible. And then they'll go and probably have 3 or 4 of her other songs that they didn't know she wrote on, you know, on a. But you got people that write scripts but aren't actors, you know, and I guess
That's actually the standard. You have someone who writes a script and they sell it to a production company, then the production company gets a director, and like the writer's completely removed from the equation at that point, except for whatever royalties they're supposed to get.
getting paid. So
Yeah. Unless they want rewrites, sometimes then they'll go back to the original writer to do something in the film, and sometimes they'll say, fuck that, we're hiring our guy, and they usually wreck a script
to completely fuck it up. Well, again, that's like if you had me write a song for somebody and there's some parts we want to change, and then you went to Adam and said, hey man, we want to make these changes. You're talking about 2 completely different styles of music, right? And I mean, Adam's not going to turn down the gig for the money. Like, hey man, we're going to pay you 10,000, but we need you to change up the drums or something. You see him drag his 808 over, like
Next thing you know, you got an 808 in your metal song.
Yeah, exactly. Which they're all over the fucking place nowadays.
Yeah, even country has 808s now.
Oh god, dude. What are they?
Sorry, air quotes, country.
Country, yeah. What do they call that? Hick hop?
Hop.
Yeah. Hick hop. Yeah.
But even regular country has 808s now.
That's what it should be called.
Shit. Take an 808 and a banjo or a fucking mandolin and steel guitar, and that's like there's what's his name? Colt Ford.
Yeah, Colt Ford and the Lax.
You hear Colt Ford all the time in like on my Instagram page and shit. I have a page that I just kind of post pics of my Jeep, and I try to keep familiar with Jeep people and stuff like that. You know.
Do you have a Jeep?
You know, I don't know if you knew this, but I do have a Jeep. Yeah, I've got a Harley too. I don't know if I've ever.
I wasn't aware of either one of those things.
I don't talk about it much. It's you know not something I'm really proud of or anything.
Andy's got a tattoo. He just doesn't have the pit bull to complete the set yet.
Not yet, because I live in an apartment. But I was gonna get a pit bull when I got Parker, and I ran across Parker by accident. I'm glad I did, because then I left my house and started renting apartments, and it was hard enough with a fucking ginormous German Shepherd. But Colt Ford, his raps are always about like, you know, mudding, you know, taking your 4x4 out. We got 44s, tires, and calibers, or whatever the fucking rap is. But what I noticed about him, I always know when it's him because every song sounds the same. His rap meter or the I don't know how to explain meter to somebody who doesn't understand meter. I know both of you guys do, but the way that he puts his words together is identical every goddamn time.
Yeah, his raps hit the same place.
Yeah, he rises and falls at the same place every time. And it's like, Jesus Christ, dude, come up with something different, bro. I mean, a couple of his raps are more cute. I mean, they're funny. And they're very, very niche because he goes after that big wheel, 4-wheeling audience, but it's not particularly good. You know?
I love when country singers. So the recent trend is to is for a rapper to get on a country song.
Yeah.
So that they can top the country chart, because it's easier to top than the rap chart.
Nice.
So there's a song with like Morgan Wallen and Lil Durk, and it's so fucking bad. And when you watch the music video, you can tell like Lil Durk doesn't even want to be there.
But the label said, we're going to give you money, and if you want to keep your contract, you're going to do a crossover.
Yeah, but even like He couldn't even pretend for like a day for like the video to want to be there.
Well, what Morgan Wallen wasn't he one of them
There
that got?
was an N-word controversy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
this was like the redemption arc for Morgan Wallen, I guess.
Well, yeah, and imagine that your label and his label are subsidiaries of another
Oh, I
label.
see. Like Lil Durk is like, man, fuck this guy, and they're like, you got to do the song, dude.
You got to do it. It's part of the company wants it, so you're going to go do it. And this dude's like, there's this video of this guy ranting and raving, dropping racial slurs, the racial slur, and I'm supposed to go on his album to, like you said, redeem him to a bunch of racists. Yeah, fuck you.
I'm
Okay,
just here so I don't get
don't get
fined.
fined. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Yeah. The whole I'm going to stand here and not do anything was probably very Colin Kaepernick-ish, in the sense that, I'm going to do it because I gotta keep my job, but fuck all y'all.
Yeah, you can't make me care.
Right. Exactly. And that's I'm sorry. Once these videos come out of these guys doing that, dropping racial slurs like that, I don't think there is any redemption for him. Certainly not quickly. I mean, maybe over years and years of understanding what they did wrong. And it's different. And I'm going to say it. It's different if they found something from 20 years ago, right? Because, and Adam and I have had this conversation growing up where we grew up. I was in middle of nowhere, Ohio, and racial slurs were used in my household, pretty commonly. And I didn't know any better. But as I got older, I started to realize, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This isn't right.
Somehow I knew better. I'm not sure how. Like, I was raised around, like, my dad's like a giant racist, and I was raised around that, and it was like, I like just either innately knew that it was wrong, or I just like learned very young, because like I always remember being like, that's fucked up.
Think I kind of remember the thing that bothered me about it was the venom, the
bass in someone's voice when they say it.
Yeah, the vibe that came out of them when they would use racial slurs and make racial jokes and things. It was a little, it was uncomfortable, but I didn't know why. But I still didn't understand how heinous it really was until I got older and excuse me, and understood what those words meant and the sentiment behind them. And I think we talked, and you said, you had already been hanging out with, like, for instance, black kids. So
yeah, I think that was probably a big part of it, because like I had friends who were black when I was really young, and so like I knew from like a young age that, like, they're people. Like,
right, yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're the things you're saying about them aren't true, and that's the thing is I didn't know any black folks until 12 or so, I think, and think that's probably when it changed for me, and it was like, you're saying these mean things about them, but that I like that person, and that person's nice to me, and I don't understand. And now, many, many years later, I won't tolerate it because, as I've said, there are some people with more pigment in their skin than I have that have been very, very good to me. And there are some people with the same pigment in their skin as me that have been very, very shitty to me. So sorry, I can't get angry or hate someone for the color of their skin and their cultural differences. Because if you want to talk cultural differences, Jesus H. Christ, move from Ohio to Alabama. Cultural differences all over the fucking place. Some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't. But
biscuits and gravy are still good.
Brother, biscuits and gravy was it's kind of like fucking
good one.
I was trying to think of my brain isn't working today, man. A lot of Southern food.
Yeah, it left you on fucking.
Yeah, right. A lot of Southern food is also what people consider black food, right? Greens and things like that. And
yeah,
I like all that shit. So I was very happy to be introduced to all of that shit. So the moral of the story is eat your greens.
but not carrots.
Fuck some carrots.